I mentioned sometimes in the show, one of my best friends from law school had a great expression, which was PGO, pointed glimpse into the obvious. She would say it when people said something very obvious, PGO. This is a PGO. President Trump is very, very happy today about the outcome of the Senate primary in the state of Alabama. And I want to talk just a moment about the outcome of that primary race, because it really signals something, I think, bigger, both about the fall elections and about the sentiment among the American people about wanting to get to the bottom of what happened inside the FBI and the Department of Justice. But if you missed the news, in Alabama yesterday, they had a primary runoff, and so choosing the Republican candidate to challenge the incumbent Democrat senator from Alabama. And so the two people in the Republican primary, one was former senator, and most of us knew his name, Jeff Sessions, and he was the one who served as senator from Alabama and then became the attorney general. He was challenged by a coach named Tommy Tuberville, a former Auburn coach, and I've just learned recently, I guess he was at Texas Tech too. But what I want to say about it was Tuberville was endorsed by President Trump, and he won that primary runoff by 20 points. 20 points. I want to quick ask Matt, the wonderful producer. I sent him a little bit of a slide to show this is the numbers. This is really big. If you follow politics all the time, this is not squeaking by. This is a very big differential between Tommy Tuberville, the victor, and Jeff Sessions. Also want to show you, I sent Matt the map of Alabama. Pretty much you can see the yellow are the areas where Tuberville won, red is where Jeff Sessions won. And I want to just say, I said, that at the start that President Trump was happy about it. What I really mean by that is this. I think Jeff Sessions is a very nice person. I'm sure he's a very nice person. And he served honorably in the Senate. He actually was one of the very first people who got behind President Trump, or then candidate Trump, when a lot of people were kind of writing him off and thinking he didn't have a chance. Jeff Sessions stepped up and said, I think this is our guy, mainly with respect to the border security immigration issues. He stepped up and he really was a big help to President Trump. But once President Trump assumed office in 2017 and appointed Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, you all know the story. You had, as the then long brewing effort inside the FBI and Department of Justice to target President Trump with a complete hoax, the Russia collusion hoax. And early on in that battle, Jeff Sessions was convinced by lawyers at Justice that he needed to recuse himself. So he didn't have the ability at the time he should be serving as DOJ, as Attorney General, to be part of shaping the conduct inside the Department of Justice and the FBI. He felt that was the most honorable, right thing to do. We've talked about this in the show before. I think he got taken. He did not have to recuse himself. He did not realize the political motivation held by those who urged him to recuse himself. And as the unbelievable assault on President Trump's presidency continued throughout his tenure as Attorney General, where you had literally, it appeared, the major players inside the FBI and Department of Justice continuing to try to pin the collusion hoax on President Trump. What we're watching now is Attorney General Barr and Durham are trying to dig in and figure out what really happened inside there. It became obvious a wide swath of players at very high levels in our own national law enforcement agencies were out to get the president. And Jeff Sessions, serving as Attorney General, simply could not or did not decide he could unrecuse himself. He did not weigh in, and so it left President Trump really unprotected. So you had President Trump during this primary weigh in and saying, I'm going for Tuberville. I think you should support Tuberville, really urging the Republican voters in Alabama to choose Tuberville, which they did. But the reason I think it's consequential, both for the election of 2020 and also for the ultimate desire to get to justice, is this. I think a victory by 20 points in a state that elected Jeff Sessions to Senate, were happy and proud to have him represent them. This is a signal from the voters. They do not like how President Trump was treated by the Department of Justice, by the FBI, by the ongoing Mueller hoax. They don't like it. They want justice to come, and they want to stand up for President Trump. This was the voters, at least of Alabama, saying, no, we're with Trump. We think he was mistreated. But I think it's even bigger than that. And I'll close out my first five by saying this. I think there are literally millions and millions of Americans who want to get to the bottom of what happened inside the FBI and Department of Justice, who want once this investigation is concluded, which it better be long before Election Day, they want to see names, they want to see indictments, they want to see prosecutions, they want to see the people who committed, in the words of Attorney General Barr, the biggest scandal in American history. In our national law enforcement agencies, they want to see those people brought to justice. And I think that is part of the drive of the voters in Alabama to say, we want to send someone to Washington who will fight, not someone who seemed to surrender to the radical anti-American left. And that, my very fine friends, is today's First Five.